he read 5 paragraphs on Wikipedia and he parroted it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on.
But
hold on. Wait a second. The allegation that Destiny only reads Wikipedia articles is nonsense. You guys realize that, right?
Yes.
I don't know. Is that an allegation against him?
Yes,
it
they
would
often
be.
call him a
Because his
Wikipedia
research is
bro.
incredibly in depth. I've seen him research. I've seen him show his notes and like what he's gone through. And I'm serious. It's like he's writing a dissertation for his or some essay or something because
it just says I hate firefighters over and over 100 pages.
Yeah, I mean the allegation is that he doesn't have a deeper understanding of the
incredibly
subject
informed.
matter.
And he does, though.
I mean,
like,
he's a master,
and it blows
he's a
me away.
master
Stuff will,
debater.
like just
No, I'm
stuff
not
will
using
just
Destiny
break,
to
like
diagnose
Supreme-
my health.
the Chevron decision, right? I saw him doing a debate on it. And they're like, have you read the Chevron decision? He's like, well, it's 900 pages. I'm halfway through. And then he starts accurately recalling all. I read the Mueller report. If you quiz me on it, I hope I could get a D.
So
like
did I.
I'm
Yeah,
not
so did I.
Destiny. I don't have this.
You'd
He
pass,
also
maybe.
got on
passes.
Vyvanse in the last couple of years, which is like ADHD
Oh.
medication. And so he used to do this thing where he would like play video games and kind of talk at the same time. And now like all of his attention and focus is on Woody's right. When he when he wants to learn about stuff, like he will spend hours and 10-hour streams just researching stuff. And it's definitely not just Wikipedia.
Oh, it's wild. He reads the source material, and this means like Supreme Court decisions, things like the Mueller report or whatever drops. That thing where they said Joe Biden was a sympathetic old man, so they weren't going to charge him. He read that the whole thing.
The Her report.
What was his take on
Thank
that?
you.
Because sounds bad.
I don't remember.
I mean,
The Her
obviously
report-
Biden's immune for anything he did ever, right?
The Her report. The thing
Although
that made
I think some of that
headlines-
goes back to when he was in the Senate that he had some classified documents from there. So
The thing that
it was
made
a
headlines when it
crime.
came to the Her report was that he one of the reasons why he declined to prosecute is because he felt like the Biden could reasonably invoke a defense that would portray him as a well-meaning elderly old man who forgets stuff.
Woo.
But there were also there were so many other details of that report, like the fact that he had these documents in his basement, like half open next to like a broken lamp in a dog kennel. He thought that was that could convince a jury that he himself didn't know that those documents were had the classified markings. There were also he could make a credible claim that his aides had taken these boxes out of the Senate
Trump
building or
defense.
whatever, and then put it in it wasn't just like the elderly thing. That's obviously the thing that made the headlines, but there were like 4 or 5 other
It was
things.
so
that he said.
interesting to see such a tit for tat simultaneously that they had both done the exact same thing, but one was a tottering old man who can't,
Well, no, they
whose
didn't-
memory can't be counted on. He's the
They did not
president.
do this. They did not
And
do
the
the
other-
same thing. They did not do the same thing because
they didn't?
Biden's own lawyers found those. After the thing with the stuff with Trump came out, Biden's lawyers went to his various properties and combed through all of his shit. They found the stuff. They presented it to the FBI. He cooperated with the special counsel at every turn. He sat down, gave him an hours-long interview. Donald Trump did not do that on the classified documents case.
I don't know how
Yeah,
I don't know
'cause
how
they're
the
not gonna fuck
how
over Biden.
I don't know how
Why
the
would
offense
he?
is any different
Why
just
wouldn't
because he
he?
came forward.
The
Oh,
offense
it's
is
different.
that the
Trump
offense
would
is
have
that
not-
Trump was obstructing the case. He was he asked his lawyers to lie
Well, that's
to
a
the
separate
FBI.
charge.
He asked his underlings to destroy evidence. He lied about what documents he still had in his possession. And
Like with the towel?
Nara and the FBI were trying to work with the Trump camp for like a year and a half. They gave him so much leniency. And when they had firm evidence from witnesses that he still kept onto deliberately classified information at Mar-a-Lago, that's when they did the raid. So it's just nothing like
Thank
I hope
God
they don't
he's
throw
just
the-
hearing
I hope they don't
Trump
throw the whole
response.
case out.
True.
We'll
yeah.
see. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, they're going to appeal that to the 11th Circuit, which is
there
pretty
anything that
conservative,
Trump
so.
didn't do illegally? I just want to know that. Like he's keeping illegal boxes in his house and guys are pretending to be electors illegally. That's Trump's. Is there anything he did that's not illegal?
I mean, you're making
He
a strong
raped an
case for why
imaginary
Trump would be a
woman.
bad president, or at
Yeah.
least an immoral one. I'm
Sure.
kind of
The
agreeing with
economy disagreed with you while he was president. Does that matter, or was that illegal too?
you. Did it? So I kind of remember there being fewer jobs at the end of his term than the start.
Oh, well, Woody, this fake disease that went all
I'm
over.
glad
the
you walked
planet
into my
did
trap.
that.
So here's the thing. Everyone's
Damn.
thinking
You've
of-
activated my trap card. Yeah. Do you think that like
Reverse-y.
COVID is some like Like, yeah, COVID destroyed.
Did
They locked
Trump
the
do
economy
that?
down. Hundreds of thousands, millions of people lost their jobs because of the COVID shit.
Okay, so I'll respond. People give Biden a hard time about inflation, right? And the deal is, coming into his term, there was a supply chain problem. So we all know supply and demand sets prices. When the supply crashed, because of all these things, there weren't enough container ships, there weren't enough containers themselves, there wasn't enough plastic to make whatever. All these hiccups in the supply chain, demand stayed the same, but supply dropped and prices went up. But no one gives Biden a pass for the COVID-related inflation that happened from the supply chain hiccups.
Yeah.
They say that's Biden's fault. But everybody gives Trump a pass for the jobs lost under his thing. If it's Trump, then it doesn't matter. It's COVID. It's an act of God. It's not his fault. If it's Biden, he fouled up.
And Trump signed 2 stimulus packages into law during his presidency, which helped Americans across the board. On average, Americans save money during COVID. Of course, you can find individual instances where this didn't happen, but on average, Americans actually saved money during the. You can look it up. They on
free
average,
COVID money was
their
good
net
for America.
wealth-
You're saying?
No. I'm saying that it was not just Biden's stimulus. The reason why supply chains got rocked when they did, when the country reopened after the vaccine was being distributed, is because Americans had more net wealth than they did before, on average, than before the pandemic. So if you're going to blame Biden for inflation, which contributed to this exceeding demand, which the supply chains couldn't meet, obviously you would have to paint some of the blame at Trump as well for adding to that stimulus.
But
That's
this
like
idea
too
that like all
fast
the
to be
inflation,
true.
the idea that all the
mean,
inflation is like supply chain related is untrue. A huge amount of it had to do with these stimulus bills that printed trillions of
terrible.
dollars, and then we
Yeah.
support. Then we add a couple more forever wars onto the end of it. Support those, just print more money. Like this idea that
Macroeconomics
supply-
aside.
supply chain
wait, what are
relation.
you- what are
If
you
it were
saying?
solely supply chain
I'm
related,
saying-
we would have seen a short-term influx in pricing and then a return to average prior to the event. That's not what we saw because it wasn't supply chain
for
solely
a lot of
supply
these-
chain.
No, you're off target. That
no.
supply chain problem lasted for a year or two. It
Yep,
kept going and dragging on. You act like it was a little hiccup. No.
Like supply
But
for
what are you-
oil
what's
was-
being
was
blamed
supply
on
for-
that? Inflation?
Wish I could
Inflation.
Demand
I'm trying to explain inflation because everyone
Printing
is
money.
giving Trump a pass.
It's not just printing money.
for the deaths, for the unemployment,
Interest
but
rates,
no one
too.
gives Biden a pass for when people had money in their pocket and the supply chain couldn't meet it.
You guys are
Yeah.
talking about like magical mysticism stuff.
No,
The inflation
No,
is printing
no,
money and
That
then
is
jacking
the
up interest
problem,
rates.
right? Like if it's not the simplest of things to understand, then people are just like, I don't know, I don't think so. I
like
disagree.
demand
And then
for
I
oil-
can't win this debate unless I somehow get you to agree with me, which you just can choose not to. The Trump was in that position earlier tonight, right? Where you're like, it's because I'm not retarded. And what he has to get you to start lining up. Like it's an
Demand
impossible
for oil
situation.
Demand for oil
Wait,
plummeted so
COVID
much.
destroyed the COVID and the subsequent lockdowns destroyed our economy.
Yeah.
Destroyed it.
Are you
Millions
saying
of
that's
people
not
lost
true?
their jobs.
No, I'm not.
You're saying
like,
that's not
first of
true?
all, well, when we talk about lockdowns, like in California, for example, the lockdown was like 3 weeks, and then we
No,
still
the
had
lockdown
businesses-
was
Oh,
fucked.
dude, come
In
on.
California, I live in LA, bro. The lockdown was totally fucked.
Hold on,
Are you
hold up, hold up.
insane?
They shuttered businesses so they weren't operating at the same level that they were before, but it was within like 2 or 3 months that you could go to like outdoor restaurants or whatever. So it's not like literally the entire economy shut down, but we were also in the middle of an once in a generation pandemic that killed 1 million people. Like, so what, and people at the time, like the CDC or whoever that was setting these standards, all they're trying to
You're
do in that
jumping around
moment is
all
to-
over the place. Businesses were locked
sorry
the
if- I'm
fuck
sorry.
down.
I'm sorry if you can't.
They were
like,
locked down
follow
all
what I'm
over.
saying. I don't think I'm rambling at all. The issue here with the inflation is that it is just a plain fact that Donald Trump signed a stimulus package with a PPP protection program, which added $600 per week every month on top of existing unemployment benefits, and Americans broadly were able to save money. So by the time these industries opened back up, demand was insane because
In
people
3
had all this
weeks?
money to spend. In 3 weeks? No, we're
That's
talking
not- I
about
mean,
when
that's-
no, in
California lockdown was
2021,
3 weeks, right?
In
And then we could
I'm
go
saying
eat
the-
outside in a park
The
or something.
literal shelter in place was, I think, like 3 weeks, right? Are you disagreeing with that? Should we just look it up?
Dude, the
I
economy
mean,
was
this goes
shut
back
down
to
for
like
They don't
me
let
not
you
being
look things up. They
retarded.
never
The
do. They change the
California
topic.
lockdown lasted forever. There was working. Everyone was
it
working
didn't.
from
I
home.
live in
Restaurants and
LA
businesses.
as well.
were-
If you want to get dinner sometime, we can do that. But like,
Fuck, yeah, we can go to a nice outdoor restaurant. Like
Let's do
restaurants are
it. Let's-
permanently outside now. Are you saying this lie to people that California was not
What are you
locked
sa-
down?
no,
Wait,
I'm
you
lock
can't
the
eat
fuck
inside anymore,
down.
Nick?
I'm saying the rhetoric that we use sometimes, I think, exaggerates what happened. It's no question that the ordinances that were put into place, businesses had to operate at like a limited function. But when we talk about lockdown, the actual shelter in place, I don't think that lasted longer than like 2 or 3 weeks. And
Oh,
I just feel like people
Totally
blow this.
wrong. People
Okay,
left
but-
the state. It still hasn't recovered from COVID. LA specifically and California has not recovered from COVID.
I don't know what that means.
I mean, I think
go
your
out to
life
dinner all
before
the time.
COVID was sitting in your room if you think it's recovered. It hasn't. LA's totally destroyed still.
I can't speak for LA,
How do you?
but the nation has recovered. Jobs.
Hold on, let's
are-
let Dick.
No,
and
hold
Hutch
on.
go.
I get a chance to. The
Yeah, go for it.
unemployment has
Well,
been
no.
below 4% for like a record number of months or quarters, whatever that is now. The stock market passed 40,000. If this was Trump, he'd be taking credit for this economy. I just went to Charlotte. The roads were busy with people coming home from work. I could hardly get a reservation at the restaurants. We were down to our third and fourth choices. The hotel, the valet wait was like an hour to get our car. Business is booming. Cities are packed. People are working. This idea that the economy isn't doing well is just a thing that the Republicans keep saying in an effort to win an election.
Dude, do
I
you,
get
do
the
you go
strategy.
to grocery stores? Do you buy groceries? It's so fucking expensive
fucked.
that people
It's-
like me are price
Yeah.
sensitive now. Meat
But
is
again-
so much more expensive than it was 5 years ago. Commodities are
printed
so
money.
much more
Woody's
expensive than it was 5 years
point.
ago.
Woody's point is that if you're going to blame inflation on Biden, then yeah, we get to blame job losses on Trump because
So
some
there are
level of
job
infl-
losses.
Some, of course,
There were
Nobody
job
said
losses
that. No-
under Trump. That's what I
nobody
was
said that.
saying. And you
They're
guys
recovered
say
now.
those aren't real job losses because they're COVID. Well, then this isn't real inflation because of COVID.
No,
But it
they're both
exists. You can-
real. They're both real things. The difference is
Did-
like I dislike how Trump handled that. He shouldn't
Yeah.
have played into the lockdown. It destroyed our economy. It's a
He
it's a
didn't
huge
play into the
negative thing.
lockdown. He didn't even do that for the record. I mean, he for like 2 weeks he pretended to be like strict about the stuff, and after like 3 weeks he was saying it's going to
Dude,
be
he
over
was
by
taking
Easter.
credit for the
It's
vaccine.
going to be over by
He was
Easter.
taking
It's gonna-
credit for the vaccine.
He
As
did
he
take
should,
he
as
does
he
the Trump
should.
two-step, right? Where he says both things and then you can hear whatever you want. He was telling people that they can't wear masks purely because he thought that if people wore masks, it would hurt him in the election. And he's also telling people that this vaccine is God's gift and he's responsible for it. Trump talks on both sides all the time, and it's infuriating.
But the masks were
agree? Do
dumb,
you-
right?
Do you
I don't
two
know.
agree? Like Taylor,
You don't
and,
know? A piece of cloth over your face was
Biden
Taylor
doesn't
did
wear
nothing?
one. Did you see
Taylor and
Biden
Dick,
getting on
Taylor
Air
and Dick.
Force One? He's got no mask. None of the Secret Service have masks. Like what
Do you
happened?
guys-
That's interesting.
Do you guys
That's
agree?
interesting.
Do you guys agree
COVID
that Donald
conspiracy.
Trump? Do you guys agree that Donald Trump signed 2 stimulus packages into law?
Hated it. Yeah.
Right. So, do you understand that he had to have contributed to part of that inflation?
Yes,
Yeah, of
yes,
course.
a
Yeah.
huge
Okay.
amount. Like I'm
So-
not I'm not all about I'm not the
COVID
biggest
ruined the
Trump fan.
economy,
I
yeah.
just see Trump as a better alternative to the other side. I'm not a big Trump fanboy. I think he does a bunch of fucking retarded shit. I don't
Yeah.
like his constant promotion of, funding Israel forever and ever. Like he does a bunch of shit I don't like. And so
How do you
this
feel
idea
about-
that like it has to be president versus president. No, the way they both handled it was bad and it was a net negative for American people.